Welcome to Be Home Resources, a place you can depend on for all your home ownership needs. My name is Kathleen Gano, your real estate concierge, and I'm excited to share with you how to maintain, update, and protect your investment. Today's topic is safety in the home, and I'm here today with Chief Emmanuel's son, Jeff. Is it okay for me to call you Jeff?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us today, Jeff. I would like to first thank you and all the firefighters for what you do on a daily basis. It's a thankless job, and we really do appreciate your commitment to the community. I go into homes all the time as a realtor, and probably 80% of the time, the smoke detectors are either disabled or they're not working properly or they're out of date. So I wanted to discuss the importance of having the right smoke and carbon detectors, and I don't want to forget about carbon monoxide because that too can be just as dangerous.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So tell us, what have you seen as the value of having the right working detectors?
Well, it's important to have the right type of smoke detector, for the purpose. One is make sure that they're working. Make sure that, if they're electrically powered, that they have a battery backup. So in case there's a power failure in the community or in your home. But the other part is that it's the right detector for the purpose. Whether it's in the area of the kitchen or in the basement or in the garage. Whether there are different types of detectors. There are photoelectric detectors. There are ionization detectors. It just detects the products of combustion differently, and will also give you less nuisance alarms based on the use.
Right. So can we talk about the photoelectric? That's
Sure.
the one you put near the kitchens and baths.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the photoelectric actually has to see the smoke particles, so that's why it gives you a little bit less, gives you some less nuisance alarms versus an ionization, which is detecting the heat energy, which will give you some of the nuisance alarms from your oven and things like that, which are just producing heat, not heat that can be dangerous, but just heat in the kitchen.
So those detectors, if you have them in the wrong spot, and I'm thinking now that we're talking, I have one in the wrong spot because every time I cook it goes off. So I'm guessing it got reversed with some of my other ones.
Yeah.
Where really should, this is a big question too when we're selling a home, where should the detectors be?
Sure. There's the state fire code, and there's the
Right.
There's best practices and such that that we have for the homeowners and for the real estate agents. That it's on our website because of course, as you know, every real estate transaction requires a smoke detector inspection from the fire department.
Right.
And we put the supporting documentation on our website to make sure that people can see what those requirements are, and it's based on the year and when the home was built or substantially renovated.
Yeah, because it's not just a one-page thing.
Correct. Yep.
I've read that.
It can be a complex document, but at the end of the day, it's really pretty simple. You put a smoke detector on every level of the home, including
Right.
the basement, outside of every sleeping area. So within 10 feet of a bedroom door. So if you have a typical colonial or typical Cape style home, one at the top of the stairs, one at the bottom of the stairs off of the kitchen, and then one in the basement.
Right.
If you've done renovations, if you've done some partitioning off, you might need a few extra here and there because of that, but that's a good general rule of thumb. Same thing with the carbon monoxide detectors. You have those on each occupiable level of the home as well.
Right, and I know codes have changed over the years, and new homes have them in the bedrooms. Is that correct?
Correct. Anything really built after the early 90s has smoke detectors within the sleeping areas as well.
Right.
And those are also the vintage that are required to be hardwired to the home's electrical system and interconnected. So if the smoke detector activates in the basement, it's also going to sound in the bedroom and throughout the home. That way, it gives you basically a built-in fire alarm system for your house, so you know what's going on in other parts of the home.
Right, right. And you made a comment about the age of the home, and I had a question about additions. At what point do you, as the inspectors, decide that we're following not the 1960 code, we're following the 2023 code? in the home?
Sure. That's really based on what the scope of the renovations are. If they're
Yeah.
adding sleeping areas or if they're adding an accessory dwelling unit or such like that. If it's a full gut remodel of the home, then it would be required to bring it up to current standards.
Right.
If it's just a family room that's being renovated or something like that, and it's a more of a minor type, then the home is, it's driven by the building code,
Right.
and then the home is not required to bring everything up to current standards. So it really depends on the scope of the work and what's being added or remodeled in the home.
Right, right. And you can't go backwards, right? Is that
Correct.
the rule?
Yep.
Yeah, which means that,
And one thing that's really important to note for people is that all of the codes that we have, whether it's the building codes, the fire codes that we follow, those are minimum standards. It's at the floor. So we're starting at the floor
Right.
and working our way up. So when the contractors are talking to you about the fire codes and the building codes, they're really talking to you about the floor, about the entry level standards.
Right.
We're not starting at the Cadillac. We're at the Pinto.
Right,
So to speak.
right.
Yep.
and some of those new codes and regulations are there to protect us. Multifamily homes that I go into almost always have missing detectors because of nuisance alarms and things like that we already talked about. What the new code, though, requires that all detectors have to be under 10 years. Is this correct?
Correct. The useful life of all of your detectors, whether it's a carbon monoxide detector or a smoke detector, the useful life that all of the manufacturers will warranty them or guarantee that they're going to work properly is that 10-year mark.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that automatically at 10 years and one day they stop working, but that's, it's no different than an expiration date on food sometimes.
Right.
But that's the benchmark that we use, and that's what's in the standard that we work with. So we do check when we go out to do our inspections. We check the manufacture date, which is clearly printed on the device itself, and the detectors that are battery operated. They have a 10-year lithium battery that's built into the device, so the battery will start to fail at the end of the useful life.
Right, right. So that's something I wasn't aware of, the 10-year lithium battery. That's another reason why updating your smoke detectors with new ones will save you, because you're not replacing batteries. Because we used to do every year, remind people to change your batteries.
Change them, change your clocks, change your batteries, test your smoke detectors, test them once a month, test them at least a few times a year to make sure that they're working if you're not setting them off cooking or anything like that. But,
right.
But just to make sure that they're functioning properly.
Right. I do want to note that I am a good cook. It's just the detector. Can we talk a little bit about carbon monoxide?
Sure.
I have I'm very aware of carbon monoxide detectors in homes, and I've been in real estate 30 years, so they've been talked about for that long. I had a friend had a recent incident on a boat, and he did a whole spiel on carbon monoxide because his whole family ended up in the ER from a short boat party, and they had no idea why everybody was passing out. What is your experience been with carbon monoxide detectors?
Well, carbon monoxide, by its very nature, it's odorless and colorless. You don't even know it's occurring. It's a natural byproduct of combustion. Anytime you have a fossil fuel fired, whether it's a heating system, cooking system, or in the case of the marine, it would be from the motors from the boat and everything like that. But the dangerous part about it is that you can't smell it and you can't see it.
Right.
Okay. The other part is it mixes very well with oxygen, so it doesn't really float or sink, because it's about the same. We call it the same specific gravity. It's about the same, so it commingles with the oxygen. And the other part of it with carbon monoxide that makes it so dangerous on the health-wise is that it bonds with your blood, your hemoglobin in your blood, many times more rapidly or easily than oxygen. So it will displace the oxygen in your blood very, very quickly, which is why it's dangerous, and it creates those symptoms, those flu-like symptoms, or sleepy or passing out. And oftentimes people don't know until it's too late.
Right.
So it's very important, to have those detectors in the home to make sure that they're working properly, especially with the new high efficient systems that we have, the direct vents that don't have chimneys anymore, they vent horizontally versus vertically, and to make sure that those systems are maintained properly, that the emergency shutoffs in those systems are not disabled or bypassed in any way. And that even your older systems that are in the house, to make sure that the boilers and the furnaces are maintained on a regular basis, so that way it reduces the risk that you have.
Yeah, so it goes everything from house maintenance to making sure you have detectors to protect yourself.
Correct.
And in the wintertime, I know I heard of a story where the snow had piled up against that exhaust and created that same scenario.
And that really has come to light in the last 15, 20 years with these systems and these direct vent systems, and in the homes, and certainly in the Northeast we can have drifting snow. You have your you have your significant weather events. You may only get 3 or 4 inches of snow, but you get a drift that's 2 feet. So keeping those vents clear is critical.
Right. The new smoke detectors today are a combination with smoke and carbon, and those are the 10-year ones.
Correct. Yep.
So what tips would you have for our viewers as far as keeping safe? If you had to give them 3 tips for keeping safe with smoke and...
Well, just safe in general is maintenance in the home. Your heating appliances, cooking appliances, things like that. Good safety practices. Some of the more common causes of fires that we have are unattended candles, or misuse of electrical cords, or the false sense of security that people will have from these multi-strip adapters and everything like that. They'll overload those without even knowing.
Ooh, that's a good point. We tend to just plug those.
And we see that, you plug if you plug a portable heater into them or a higher draw appliance, you can actually overload a circuit without tripping it because of those surge protectors that are built into it. So those are some of those things to be really careful. And we do see that quite often. And just general good practices. If your home has a garage and you're storing, flammable materials in your garage as your finishing materials, just make sure that they're stored properly and they're stored, separate from other combustibles and everything like that. And just general good housekeeping really goes a long way.
Yeah, those are great tips. I really like them because it's things that we have control over.
Correct.
And we can take care of.
Yep.
Well, I really appreciate you coming in today and talking with us. Chief Emanuelson has given us some great tips on how to take care of our homes and protect them so that you have an easier job and you don't have to be rushing to that fire. If you have any questions about your smoke detectors or carbon monoxide detectors, there'll be a number on the screen that you can call and get that information that Chief Emanuelson suggested earlier in our conversation. Or you can simply email us at the Gano Group, and we would be happy to point you in the right direction. Thank you again for joining.
Thanks for having me here today.
You.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us today as well. If you have any ideas or topics for us or any questions about your home, please email us at the address on the screen. We want to earn the right to be your real estate concierge. I would also like to invite you to join us on our Facebook page, Be Home Resources. Again, I'm Kathleen Gano, and I am signing off for today. Be well and live well.